and faithful.
True and faithful listeners.
True and faithful listeners.
Hello.
Loyal Laurels or Loyal Yannis.
Loyal Yannies.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's contentious. I don't know if we can do that.
We're all about contention here on the Mission Stories podcast. Hello, everyone. Let's just start it up. We'll start it up. We're already recording everything. Let's make this the official beginning.
We've started.
We've begun. And you're going to notice a couple of things, those who are watching this versus, and if you're listening, you will have heard not just one, Lyndon.
Not just two.
Not just two voices, but a third voice.
A third voice.
Hello.
The voice of a woman who just said, hello, Emma, to you.
Thanks so much for having me on your podcast.
The pleasure is all mine.
Okay.
No. I'm delighted to be here.
Okay.
Lyndon.
Easy, Lyndon. Okay, so this is Emma Houghton. I hope that this is easily visible.
Yes.
To the viewer. I hope we're talking loud enough and close enough into this one mic that we are sharing. And guess what? We're dating. We're together, and that's we were all hanging out today, and we were like, you know what we need to do, Lyndon?
Have a guest.
I was gonna say just record an episode of Mission Stories, and
Well, I mean that's always a given.
yeah. And Emma was here with us, and we thought, let's bring in someone who's outside of a mission. You've never served a mission.
I have never served a mission.
You're not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
No, I'm not.
You're not. Unless you are.
I am not.
And you've been tricking me this
I've been
whole time. And
I am a good actress.
She's an actress, a local artist in Calgary and Edmonton. You were just in a show called Last Chance Leduc.
I was.
It was heralded by the press as the greatest play of all time.
I did read that, actually.
And it was.
I did see it, and I agree. It's the greatest play that I've ever seen. I'm not the best, play. I haven't seen a lot of plays, but among the plays that I have seen, number one.
Oh, wow.
Number one.
They
Thanks so much.
said,
I just wish Lyndon could have seen it as well.
I just remember they were like, say goodbye to Cats. Cats is now garbage.
Cats is bull crap.
Cats is a dumpster fire compared to Last Chance
Compared to
Leduc.
Last Chance Leduc.
Not even the same genre
Cat-
of theater production,
No.
No.
but it still crushed it.
Thank you. I mean, Last Chance Leduc did have songs. Does it qualify as a musical? Probably not, but...
No.
I think it transcends genre.
The best do.
You didn't even see it, bro. You didn't even see it. Why don't you let the two people who've seen it... Well, you haven't seen it either, technically.
Thanks, Lyndon. No, I couldn't watch myself.
I'm the only one here who has seen it. And let me just say it's very good. Emma did a great job.
Troy doesn't lie.
I do not lie.
Ever.
I've never lied.
Ever.
Never lied.
Me neither.
Hey, Mom and Dad. Never lied before. Okay, so this is an episode of Mission Stories, however. I'm just nervous. I'm nervous for the mics. I hope that they'll work out fine.
Why are you so nervous for the mics?
Well,
We're so close to them.
We both need to just make sure that we're talking
straight into the mic.
that way, This is why I wanted to sit beside you instead of have Lyndon sit beside you, just because I know Lyndon.
And he would take my mic space?
I know his ways.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
I mean, also, Troy, you like to control things, so...
I'm a control freak.
I'm a control freak, too. So now we're both right here.
Yeah, these two just witnessed me control freaking pretty hard as I set all of this up.
For like the last...
I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes.
I would say a good half hour.
It was a long time. And anyway, so welcome to Mission Stories. This is episode 8.
Ocho.
We've been doing this for 8 episodes.
We're
9 if you include that one.
We're into our second transfer here.
Second transfer.
Has it been long?
That's 6 weeks for the lay person. See, this is good to have you here because you can be like, hey, excuse me, sorry. What does that mean? What's a transfer? Or
Well, it's a measurement of time, of course.
I mean, but one has to understand that I am one of the true and faithful. So
Yes.
there has been some explanation of the Mormon lingo
Yeah.
throughout. So I am not like completely I don't know,
Out of
clean
touch.
out of the
Yeah.
box.
No, you.
Right.
I know some stuff.
You're initiated.
Yeah.
You're in the club.
This isn't
you.
even her first Mission Stories appearance, technically.
What? I don't understand.
What?
She was on the last episode via email.
That's right. Oh, right. Emails.
I was.
I have
Was
no
it
way
the
to
last
access
episode via email?
Well, I don't know if you actually emailed him or just told him.
Hold on.
Wait, something happened. Perfect.
Okay.
No, I just told him.
Yeah.
I had a response where I was like, I am not an accountant.
Right.
And I'm really happy to hear that other people also had that response because I was offended.
She was extremely offended.
I was extremely offended.
Offended.
I didn't like it.
No.
All right. Well, stay tuned.
Stay tuned for when I become an accountant.
Yeah.
That's like a running thing on the show now. That accountants...
We gotta really talk about the accountants now.
It's like a battle between the accountants and the non-accountants. It's like people who are accountants, they hate non-accountants, and vice versa. It's a war. It's a battle, and I don't like to see it, Lyndon.
You know, I like to see.
Emma.
I want the polarization because I want to see an army of non-accountants be driven to our podcast to crush the accountants.
Right.
True.
To be like, oh, there's twice as many non-accountants listening than accountants.
I would also like to know how many accountants actually listen to this podcast. I feel like that was like a hasty generalization, a bit of a like wide paintbrush kind of across your listeners, and I don't actually know how many are.
At least two.
You might notice that a lot of the things that are said on this podcast are sweeping generalizations with a broad brush, and that's how we like to do things here on the Mission Stories podcast. Moving into fan mail, I have no way to access the emails.
But we got emails.
We did get an email.
It's sitting on your phone.
It's sitting on my phone. Both of the phones are recording us right now. So I will say, I think Jeremy sent us one, as is his custom.
Yikes!
And I think someone else might have. You know what we'll do, Lyndon?
What are we gonna do?
Next episode?
Double emails.
We'll double the email. We'll read them twice. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you want to send an email, we'll read it twice on the air live from Calgary. It's Saturday day. All right. Okay, so today's kind of a special episode.
How so?
Let me tell you why.
Because Emma's here.
Yeah.
Emma is here. That is a reason enough for this to be a special episode.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. The other reason that this is a very special episode is because we're going to talk about a story that... Can I give you... Here's some background for when I first heard this story. It was a few years ago. I think we'd been friends for at least a year or so, or two perhaps. And we were both still in the throes of university.
Right.
And I don't remember the context for like... I feel like you may have like called me to Denny's for a council meeting or something. Or it might have just been like, hey, let's get together.
Right. You know what? Yeah, because I had the conversation with you first.
Yeah.
Before the Cheesecake Factory or whatever it was called.
And I didn't know that. But so we go to Denny's, and then you tell me the story that you're going to tell to everyone on this podcast. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit of a shocking story. Some of the details are like, oh my goodness. Yeah, and then you told the story again to a wider group of friends at the Cheesecake Cafe. Today's episode brought to you by Denny's and the Cheesecake Cafe. It's all food. What do you want?
Brought to you by the Cheesecake Cafe, which I don't think exists anymore.
Does it not exist?
I don't think so.
That's too bad.
I think they went under.
You know what? Good.
For the best.
I did not like that place.
Why?
The food, it was bad.
You just said whatever you want.
Yeah.
Well, if you like cheesecake.
What about the Cheesecake Factory? You could just redirect people
Cheesecake
there.
Factory.
That's only in America, isn't it?
It's much better.
I don't know.
I don't think there is Cheesecake Factory in.
Not here.
Not here.
What?
It's on American only.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
I don't even like cheesecake.
You're like, I hate cheesecake.
But I'm sad
Moving
that
on.
I don't have the option to not choose it.
I just want to tell people where to go. Okay.
Yeah. You just want to help people.
I do. Honestly, yes.
You do.
Right.
She does. She does.
That's one of my main characteristics.
I'm glad you're here to jog my memory of this story.
Yeah.
Because I remember I used you as like the test audience.
That's what it was.
Where I was like, we're going to tell Troy this first. And if he reacts well, then I will tell the rest of my close associates.
So I wanted to sort of segue into this because I don't know how long this story is going to take. I think, and we're going to interject with questions that we may have for you, Lyndon. But this will be. You'll notice that we are on this side. Lyndon's usually on this side. I'm usually in that beautiful chair over there, and it is beautiful.
It's your thinking chair.
It's my thinking chair. That's right.
For thoughts.
For thoughts.
The only place it happens.
Everywhere else, I go through life as sort of a comatose, functioning
Vegetable.
Thank you.
Just you pre-program your day on this chair.
Yeah.
Then once you stand up,
I pre-visualize my whole day, all the little funny things I'm going to say. Of course, we're kidding.
It's like the Matrix.
I'm capable of thought. It is like the Matrix.
Load you up.
Yeah.
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu. I know Kung Fu. All right, Lyndon, back to you now. All right, so I wanted to sort of segue into this by talking a little bit, because this is a key part of your story, is that this all happened on your mission, and that leading up to this point, you had not. I'm thinking of like what I should let you tell and what I should sort of.
I know. Well, here's one thing: is I was speaking to a True and Faithful last night, and they talked about how they love the Instagram post because I look like a 12-year-old. They're like, you're like a little baby when you're a missionary, and you're like, Lyndon, you've aged 20 years since your mission. Well, get ready for an explanation of why that happened.
The thing that I was going to say before is that we'd mentioned before, like, crushes as missionaries.
Like the mission romances.
Yeah, mission romances that, of course, never turn into anything. But obviously, you're a red-blooded young man or woman on a mission, and you are forbidden.
You got eyes, don't you?
You got eyes, but you can't, do anything else. And so, you see the people in your ward, the attractive people, and you're like, oh, I have a crush on them. But you said that you intellectually at that time could recognize a beautiful woman, but there was something that was sort of missing from maybe the typical male or just reaction to when they see like, ooh, sexy lady / like when I look at Emma and I think, wow, beautiful, and my heart starts a pumping. I get all flustered and nervous.
Okay.
Because she's so beautiful.
Right.
And, but you had told me that you don't, I'm sorry, that you don't, you didn't feel like it was different. It was a different experience.
Yeah, that was one of the early indications. I think what you want is the story of the first girl to make me look twice.
Yes.
I would love that.
Right.
I think we all would.
And so, like, a lot of guys are like, I was 13 or 14, and I saw a pretty girl, and I lost my mind. And I was like, the first girl that made me look twice, her name was Rachel.
What was her last name?
And
how old was she?
Where is she now?
At this time? Yeah.
I could probably find her on Facebook, so we'll just say her name was Rachel.
All right.
She was the daughter of the second counselor in the ward I was in.
Forbidden love.
In the mountains of Arizona. And so
mountains.
At this point, this was it's gonna be like I'm gonna tell this story, then we're gonna go back like 3 months. But so this is I'm like 20 at this point. And she's this 17, 18-year-old girl, like she was just graduating high school.
Yeah.
And she walks past me. And, when people walk past you, you tend to look away. And this is the first time that, against my will, she walks past me, and I'm just like, And I was like, whoa. And I'm just like, what was that?
Keep telling the story.
Well, I mean, that's basically the end of the story.
Okay.
It's like, so that's the...
That's it.
And
So
cut.
that's me at
Great
20
story.
years old, the first girl that ever made me look twice.
Can you give us like a classic Lyndon Naglis, short summary of a story for that story?
Young, pretty girl catches Lyndon's eye.
Makes him look twice. Aggressive dog assaults Troy.
Right.
Okay, so
So it's
you're,
like,
how old, you're 20, 21?
I would have been
20?
20, not 20 yet, not 21 yet.
Not yet a man.
Right. So this
20's a
was
good
like,
age.
It is a good
Yeah.
age, yeah.
It's a great age.
right. So
Great age for looking twice. You know what I'm saying?
I looked
exactly.
twice a lot when I was 20.
So you might be saying,
This episode brought to you by Age 21.
Forever
20.
21.
Forever 21.
For
fast
all your
fashion.
fashion needs. Check will be
My
in the
jean
mail.
jacket's from
hopefully.
there.
Jean jackets from there.
So I mean, that's a typical story, right? Like everyone has the first girl that made him look twice.
Yep.
Nothing strange about mine. It happened on the mission.
Right, and you were 20.
I was 20.
Yeah. So like what? Okay.
Is that odd?
Yeah, it is. Okay, so there's like a whole period of my life from, and we won't get into too many details here, but from like 12, 13 to like
Yesterday.
To now.
I've been obsessed with women. And it's a weird way to say it, but you're a teenager and the hormones, they start a pumping and the hormones get released into the bloodstream.
Yep.
And a young person can't help themselves, but feel very attracted to the opposite sex or the same sex, depending on your orientation. You didn't feel that till you were 21 or 20.
No. So that's why I always liked hearing.
This is odd.
I always liked hearing your version of the story.
Yeah.
Because you like grew up just riddled with sexual shame,
Yeah. Lots of sexual shame.
just coursing through your veins alongside the hormones. Was that shame? Whereas I grew up.
Hormones increase, then the guilt also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up with sexual smugness.
Which
That's a t-shirt. We got to make that into a t-shirt. Sexually smug and then
Right.
your face on it.
Yeah.
which was at higher levels than your hormones, yeah?
Yeah, because they're taught we're taught about chastity and virtue and all these things. And I'm like, I am killing the chastity game.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, don't have impure thoughts about women. I'm like, killing it. Nailed it. I was like, I am the greatest man alive.
Yeah.
Turns out it's not that simple.
No.
So I started to, so that was like never a problem for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just lived with my sexual smugness. And like you said, like, I had eyes. I'm not blind. I can look at a beautiful woman and be like, she's gorgeous.
Okay. All right, folks.
Thank you, Lyndon.
Yeah. So I, oh, was I looking at Emma that whole time? My bad.
Troy, he wasn't looking at me.
Cucked on camera. With Troy Cooper.
Anyway, back to Lyndon.
Anyways.
That was a little joke. Anyway.
So, I'm on the mission. And as we know and as we've discussed, the mission can be a stressful time, a trying time.
Yes.
And little grains of sand can wear down anything.
Yeah.
So it turns out I had like a large grain of sand, and it was like, so I'm like 7.5 months out. So we're like at the point, we're at post Heart of Darkness.
Yep.
And that's when I start to begin to notice it's like, I'm tired all the time. But like a lot of missionaries are tired, so you ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mission president sends me out to Tempe because he's like back to the West Valley. Elder Naglus does not do the East Valley very well.
You'd already made Soapy.
Yes.
And you had all that special project.
That had all occurred.
That mission president sanctioned project.
Right.
To fill all the water balloons up.
To have other missionaries basically live in my apartment, use my bathroom, because I had to commandeer their apartment.
Yeah.
For my insane rituals.
To lead three other missionaries?
Well, we considered Soapy a missionary at that point, so yes.
All right. Okay.
Well, the other companionship and my
and your companionship.
my companion.
Okay. So
and
now,
the listeners, they've all heard that. They've heard that episode.
Yes,
we
they have.
And
if you haven't, it's on the episode called Hearts of Darkness, Soapy, and something else. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he sends me back out to Tempe, where I have a good time. 6 months of bliss, basically.
Ooh.
So it's like everything is just masked, and it's like things are going well for me. I'm killing it in Tempe.
Why? What was so good about it?
That's where I had my favorite companion, Elder Compton, Alex Compton.
Straight out of Elder Compton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like the most proficient. Like, here's the thing. Imagine the coolest guy you can think of.
Okay.
Done.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing. Because you're not the coolest guy in the world, your perception of who the coolest guy in the world is wrong. Because he was like the coolest guy in the world. Next level cool.
Why was he so cool?
He just had this competence about him. Here's one thing I say. His mother was a LDS family social worker.
Yep.
His father, who recently passed away, unfortunately.
Just recently.
Actually, like yesterday. So.
Wow. Condolences to Elder Compton's family.
Yeah. He was a bar musician.
Cool.
So imagine someone who's raised by a social worker and a bar musician. They're just like the most creative, talented, well-adjusted person in the world. And so he would just come in and he just handled people. And so I'm his senior companion, but I'm being brought in a broken man, broken by my last area. And this is when they're like, we're going to give you this junior companion who's completely competent. And so he basically just took care of the area, took care of me. And this is where I began to realize things. Because when we first met, he's like, hey, I'm Elder Compton. And he's like, my hobbies include thrash metal and dating girls. And I laughed in his face. Like, I thought it was a joke. Like, he's like, my passions are thrash metal and dating girls. I was like, that can't be a passion. Turns out it was. It was like his top 2 favorite things.
That's a duty that we complete as members of the church, dating girls. That's not a hobby. It's an obligation that we have.
Yeah. It just like blew my mind.
I've never thought twice about a woman.
Yeah, that was the thing that he loved.
Right.
And he would tell me all his like success stories about like dating girls and kissing girls. And I was all like, amazing. I had no idea. I was like, that's a thing people do? And so
cool.
That's when I began to realize I'm like, I'm not as cool as him. There's something amiss.
Did you have like some illusion about how cool you were up to that point? Did you think you were like the bee's knees?
Well, I remember when we talked about how we were like the golden boy, the saviors of our ward when we went on our missions?
Yes.
That was like a crutch for me. Because I was like, I am a spiritual giant. I'm doing everyone a favor by going out on a mission.
Yeah.
And then you get into the mission field and you realize normal distribution curve, you're average.
Right.
You're just a basic Mormon guy. There's cooler guys than you.
Basic bro.
More competent. And there are worse.
Yeah.
But you're somewhere in that middle of that bell curve.
Yeah.
And that's a harsh realization, right?
Yeah. Because I'd never grown up with a lot of Mormon dudes.
Can I mention you were homeschooled as well?
I was homeschooled till the 6th grade, yes.
So you did have some... Because you are not as strange as most other homeschool people. No offense if you've been homeschooled, but you're probably a little stranger than...
You're going to take some offense to this.
You will take some offense to this, and I am sorry. But everyone else agrees with me.
Oh, yeah. My grandma, Oma,
yeah,
rest in peace,
hated
the fact that we were homeschooled. She'd always be like, don't you hate that you don't go to public school? And I'm like a little kid. And I can recognize that there's like a war going on between my mother and my grandmother that I don't want to be a part of.
No.
But it's like, I don't even know what public school's like. I have no opinion.
Yeah. I remember these stories you used to tell about like your school day consisted of like 15 to 30 minutes of actual work. And then you're like, trampoline time.
Yeah. Like, I jumped on the trampoline.
And killing farm animals.
Well, I was not homeschooled when I lived on the farm.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. I was living in town the whole time I was homeschooled.
You were a town boy.
I was a townie.
You were a townie,
Yeah.
and then you became a country boy.
Shit.
Moved out to the country
Farmhouse.
in the 8th grade.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So I did get socialized, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I got thrown into public school.
Because you are normal. You can socialize.
Normal, well-adjusted,
What's the definition of
charming and dashing.
I was waiting. I was like, what's it going to be? What's it going to say? I was waiting for you to like ding into the camera.
Yeah. So yeah, homeschooled. So yeah, I did not grow up around lots of Mormon dudes.
And so
just a sprinkling.
So you meet this guy, and he's the coolest guy you've ever met. Thrash metal chicks.
Yeah.
And you're like,
He's got like cover art for his thrash metal band.
is this where you started to be like, I am different
Yeah.
from him in this sense of like, he's dating chicks, you know, he's slaying chicks.
Right.
slaying them?
I'm gonna need you to be like the
I don't
He's
think that
burying
means
them in
what
the
you
swamps.
think it means.
He's
Yeah,
leaving
I
a
we'll
cold
beat that
trail
out.
of bodies.
I need you to be like the
Moderator.
moral anchor here. That's something we've been sorely missing, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right? Everyone knows what I'm saying. Slaying chicks,
I just...
He was
killing women.
He was having great success
Yeah.
attracting members of the opposite sex.
He was a smooth operator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was like, wait, is that something? Because I kind of like looked up to him,
yeah.
despite him being my junior companion.
Was he the same age as you, or younger, or older?
A little bit younger.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, he's like, I guess he must be like less than a year. Yeah.
Okay.
So cooler and younger.
Slightly younger, yes.
And this is all, yeah, because like on the mission, if a few weeks difference between missionaries coming out is like a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, like 6 weeks from one set of missionaries to like the next.
Yeah,
is
like, okay.
I'm your senior.
Now that I think about it, I think we are like, we're probably born in the same year.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'd been on the mission like, 4.5 months longer than him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I was years ahead of him.
Well,
But no,
yeah.
it's like, we're like the same. We're contemporaries.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm like 2 months older than him, probably.
It is weird when actual age and mission age sort of like cross paths. And it's because it's like, you're like a year older than me, but I've been on the mission for 6 more months than you. Who's in charge? Who's in
Right.
charge here? Who's big dog?
Who's in charge, bud?
Pal?
In this case, it was absolutely him, because I was like, if I tried to like lead or just I would just slow him down if I got in his way. So it's where I started to learn about the art of seduction, because he was like, he didn't have women to date anymore. So he was like seducing the stake presidency, all the members of the bishopric, all the wards. It was like a mass seduction.
Yeah.
And I was just, all I knew was like, I just have to be like his wingman.
Right.
And like support him and not get in his way. And it was to me, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, maybe there is something to this
Yeah.
that I'm missing out on. But then my mission continues.
Did you have a comment, Emma?
I was
Yeah,
going to say,
question.
and this is when you saw Rachel. Yes or no?
No.
No.
This is well before Rachel.
Okay.
Because I'm still just like in ignorance. Because at this point, the only symptom is that like I know what a hot girl looks like, but I don't get all worked up about it.
And you, but things are going good during
Right.
this time period.
Like my mind is still pretty sharp,
Yeah.
and you're in a pretty good mood because we're having a lot of success.
Yeah.
And we also kind of like, how do you say, went to the beat of our own drum.
How you say, beat of my own drum.
Yeah. Like, it was, because here's the thing. That was probably the time we were the most successful.
Yeah.
And I probably obeyed the least amount of mission rules. Like, we kept the important ones, but like the silly, frivolous
Which ones would those be?
Don't worry about it. But, you know,
Frivolous.
you know, we would listen to whatever music we want. And
Yeah.
within reason.
Thrash metal?
I think we would listen to like Rage Against the Machine. Only on P-Day
Okay.
to get us all riled up for basketball.
What's P-Day?
Preparation day. It's like our day, the one day off missionaries get during the week.
Love it.
Jokingly called P-hours because it wasn't even a full day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the day you go shopping,
Ooh.
do your laundry,
Yep.
Nice.
and play basketball if you're Lyndon in the Tempe, Arizona mission.
Everyone loves b-ball.
And if you're Elder Cooper in the Jonesboro stake / zone and nowhere else. But no, that's not true.
Yeah, that's a whole mission story on itself. I like came back a better basketball player because we played full court competitive basketball for like 103 weeks.
Whoa.
But anyways, where were we?
So let's get into like where you start to, is it after this companion that you start to be like, oh, I'm super tired. I'm super like, sad or depressed or
Yeah, so then it's
what?
I get like a new companion in that area. Things are going okay. Then it's like the next area. It's like I'm beginning to be like just tired all the time.
How tired?
Not at the beginning, but it got to the point where I couldn't get out of bed until like companionship study time. So we're supposed to get up at like 6:30. Mm-hmm. Best I could do was like 9:30.
And you just couldn't drag. What time did you go to bed?
The regular time.
10:30.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't.
Well, probably earlier than that. We just had to report our stats and go to bed.
Yeah. So okay. So you noticed how you were extremely tired,
Yeah.
more than usual.
More than usual.
And was it getting worse? Was it sort of like
Well, yeah, and so it's getting worse. 'Cause then
noticeably worse?
It would get to the point, and this was I had a companion who I diagnosed as a schizophrenic, early stage schizophrenia.
Yeah.
My mission president agreed with me. He's like, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And this guy drove me insane.
Uh-huh.
Because as Emma might not know, when you have a mission companion, you're attached at the hip 24/7.
Yeah.
The only time you're not with them is when you're in the bathroom.
So I've heard, but I have yet to fully comprehend what that meant
Right.
to you both.
Tis a
so-
nightmare.
and
a
so-
waking nightmare.
Tis a waking nightmare.
And so, I mean, we'll have another episode for those zany things this guy got up to. But it's like gaslighting. It's like you live constantly with a crazy person who's like in and out of reality and delusional.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's like you will get that way. And it's like you don't know what's real anymore because the person you're connected to constantly and supposed to be unified with is in and out of reality.
Wow.
And so that did not help the situation.
Sounds very scary.
Yes. Terrifying.
Sorry, Lyndon.
Great story, though.
Thank you for the emotional support.
You're welcome.
It means a lot.
Yeah, anyway, so get back to that part where you're into pain.
The one thing that we did do very well is
Sorry, go ahead.
this companion, he loved basketball. And while we didn't do very well...
The psychopath?
The psycho guy.
B-ball.
Was he good?
He was good.
Did the psychoness make him a good basketball player?
Psychos love
Maybe.
B-ball.
Yeah. Good old Tony.
Would he like pass to himself
Well, we had such good
as
chemistry.
multiple personalities?
He was thinking from all sorts of perspectives.
Was one of his personalities a better basketball player than another?
I think so.
Which
He had like
was that?
he had like a coach on the sideline calling out plays.
Ooh.
One personality was a point guard.
He's like, shoot the ball. Okay, don't pressure me.
So yeah, we had excellent chemistry on the court. We played basketball. So all the missionaries when we get together on P-Day are like, there's no problems in this companionship. Look at how well they get along on the court. They're destroying everyone.
Yeah.
But what would happen is I would play basketball and I would be sore. My body would be wrecked for the next 7 days.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't recover until it was time for P-Day again. And it got so bad that I couldn't ride my bike anymore. I did not have the strength to ride my bike. So I'd be like, Elder, we're just going to go for a walk. We're just going to walk in the area. It's not like we're doing much here. Because you're crazy, and you're making me crazy.
Could you teach people with him?
Yeah. I mean...
Like, how noticeably crazy was he?
Like, he's not like the poor, marginalized, schizophrenic people you find on the streets. Because he's like in his early 20s when that kind of stuff starts to creep in.
Okay.
So he was zany, but you could still get things done.
Do I have schizophrenia? Am I zany?
We're past that
Maybe
point.
no.
We're past that point.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It would have cropped up already.
What a crap jab.
But and so that's when I'm like, and the previous companion, when I just started having these problems, he was like, you know what? He's like, you might have low testosterone. He's like, my dad, who's like middle-aged, went on testosterone replacement therapy. He kind of had very similar symptoms.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not possible in a 20-year-old male. Heaven forbid. That doesn't happen.
Incha ill.
Yeah. Exactly. But finally, I was just like, I can't handle this anymore. So I was like, I got to go see a doctor. So I call up my mission president, and I'm like, I don't think I am well. I think I need to see a doctor. And the mission nurse is like, what are your symptoms? And they're like, okay. And so they send me to a Mormon doctor because it's Arizona. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of Mormons, and they, we don't trust people that aren't our kind.
I'm gonna go.
Please stay.
So
Okay.
So I go to this doctor, and this is what's upsetting.
Continue.
Because he's so used to seeing missionaries come in and be like, here are my symptoms. He just hands me a prescription for Prozac, says, oh, you're just depressed.
Ah.
And I was just like, very upset by this. Call up my mission president, and I'm just like, he's like, this isn't what it is. I was like, I have like actual. And this is where you would tread water. I was like, I have actual problems with my body. Not that people with depression don't. It's just much harder to quantify. We could have a whole other episode about why that doctor was so biased in his diagnosis.
We've been meaning to roll around to the actual topic of like depression on the mission and sadness. We've danced around it, but maybe at some point we should actually
You've dipped
talk
your
about
feet in it.
Right.
We've dipped our feet.
Because this is the first instance where it's like such a problem that I got misdiagnosed by a medical professional.
Yeah.
I should have sued.
You should.
Yeah. But anyway, so I tell my mission president, like, yo, I'm not going to take these. And you're supposed to get permission from your mission president if you're going to start antidepressants anyway. So I wasn't even asking for permission. I called him to tell him, I'm not taking these. And he's like, he believed me that I was a medical professional because I had gone to school
Right.
for biomedicine for a year before going on the mission.
Which obviously qualifies you to make such calls.
Right.
I did not know that.
Yes. And I had also been the medical advisor to my companion when he got his tonsils out. So my mission president trusted me and my medical knowledge. Dr. Elder Naglis, right?
As I do as well.
So
You're
he's-
my doctor.
Basically.
Yeah.
That's
You just
fine.
tell me to drink a lot of Gatorade and take a nap.
Electrolytes, it's what you need.
Got it.
And so we
My
go
leg
to
is
we go to
broken,
another
okay.
doctor. He's just like, okay, we're going to send you to another doctor. And he's like, don't let them ignore your symptoms. And I was like, okay. So we go to another doctor, which I had met earlier in my mission when my trainer sliced his foot open on a glass tabletop.
Ooh.
So we were already well acquainted, this doctor and I.
Make a note of that story.
And I was just like, here's what I think it is. And I remember writing in my journal where I was just like, because I was like, we don't know what's wrong with me, but I think I might just have no like testosterone. And no one believes me when I tell them this. But I was like, but the proof is in the pudding. The pudding being my blood. Because the point was I had to demand a blood test.
And your blood was like pudding when they tried to get it out of you.
Basically. That
Chocolate
is
pudding.
actually, because I forgot about that story, is I go to
Chocolatey
get
pudding.
my blood drawn
Ooh.
for the tests.
Ooh, stories like this.
And because I'm like, I think I have low testosterone, but then they can't be too sure, and they're like, oh, it might be thyroid. They took 11 vials of my blood.
Ooh. Most I've ever had was 6.
I was not prepared for 11 vials.
No.
I was out cold. I was already I was already in like a weakened, frail state.
Right, yeah.
And then they take 11 vials of blood, and I'm just like... wake up to that delightful smelling salt. And my companion, the crazy one, had like left.
He was just roaming the streets.
He was roaming the pond.
Left you?
Okay.
There was like a little lake outside.
He was
this
in the
medical office.
pond.
He's just, I think he was trying to find those turtles.
He's trying
Oh, the cute little ones.
Yeah.
with a ball-peen hammer in his hand.
But anyways, so talking to
Story.
this doctor, and I'm just like, okay, I think I have low testosterone. And he's like, that can't be the case. And he's like, he starts going over all the symptoms. And he's just like, oh, do you have low strength, low energy, brain fog? I'm just like, yeah, all those things. It's like, is your memory getting a little shaky? I'm like, oh yeah. I don't know how I got here. I just know I'm here. And then he's like, and then there's a low libido. He's like, but you're a missionary, so we're not going to talk about that. And I was like,
Ha-cha-cha.
hold on a second there, buddy.
Pal.
It's a symptom.
Doc.
We got to talk about it. And I looked at that can of Lysol, and I was like, that can of Lysol, I can look at it. I recognize that it's Lysol, but I'm not sexually attracted to it. I was like, it's the same with women. Because it really piqued me. We're in Zone Conference, driving around in the bus with the APs, and Elder Kreiser was just about to go home.
Yeah.
And it's Arizona. Girls are running around in sports bras just constantly. I mean, what if they wore anything else, they'd probably die on their run.
Yeah.
And so there's just like some attractive woman running by, and every single missionary in this bus with the APs is just like, ow, ow! And they're just like losing their minds and like, Elder Chrysler, you're going to be going after that in a week. And he's like, yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, yes, she is quite attractive.
I suppose so, yes.
I was like, yeah, she has excellent facial symmetry. Sexual dimorphism is there. She's clearly a woman. Has a nice hip to waist ratio.
You got your encyclopedia out. You're just like, yes, according to this, I am attracted to her.
And small feet.
Yes, her feet had been bound since she was a child.
I'm not saying that small.
Like the one thing I was
Same.
attracted to was the custom of feet binding.
I'm saying in Western society, small feet is something that more men are attracted to than big feet.
You do have very small
Right.
feet, Emma.
I do.
I'm very attracted to that. Okay, pal.
Don't Tarantino
Right.
me.
Yeah, so I explained this to the doctor, and he was like, oh, he's like, okay, yeah, I understand now. So then we get the blood test back, and turns out I had the testosterone levels of an 80-year-old man.
Ooh. What?
Yeah,
Ooh.
which is
That's
really low.
That's quite low. I
80-year-old
imagine.
men do not have a lot of testosterone.
What's the equivalent of like on the baby end?
What's the baby end of your life?
What's the baby end of?
I think it
like
was
a 2-year-old.
Still more testosterone than a 2-year-old. Like
Or a 5-year-old.
a bad,
What about a
more than a
6-year-old?
5. All more than any child. Still more than any child.
But okay, so are we saying like you had
No
to say-
child could beat you for testosterone levels.
I was crushing prepubescent children in the
But maybe
Prepubescent
like
kids.
an 11-year-old would start to possibly have
maybe
a little more.
more
Well,
testosterone.
they'd be like past. They'd be like accelerating past me
yeah,
at that point.
yeah.
You'd be
so-
huffing along on that bike you couldn't ride anymore, and they'd be like on a motorcycle. Past
They'd be on
you.
their little scooters that were so popular in 2009.
I love little scoots.
Yeah.
little scoots.
And so it was interesting. I felt so vindicated that no one believed me that they're like, oh, Elder Nagels is faking it. He's
Yeah.
not actually sick. And I was like, ha! Yeah,
Got
I
a
am.
tea, baby.
And then even my mission president was like, oh, thank goodness. This explains a lot. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks, President. He's like, finally, I know why you've been such garbage lately. It's like, yes, I have been ill. But then it's still the doctors are like, there's no reason a 20-year-old male should have such low testosterone. And then they're just like, well, you've got like 9 months left on your mission. We don't really want to take care of this. My dad had recently lost his job. I didn't have insurance coverage. I was just being covered by the Salt Lake insurance.
Yeah,
And Salt Lake's like, you ain't getting any fancy diagnostic work, that's for sure.
yeah.
And so at this point, I then get transferred up to the mountains, those famous mountains, Because my mission president was like, this guy deserves a vacation. And the mountains of Arizona were a vacation compared to the valley. So he's like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to send you up to the mountains. And then I go see a doctor up there. And they're like, so this is what your insurance will cover. He's like, see this big old needle? He's like, this is a 2-week supply of testosterone. I was like, neat. Boom. So he's just like, pull down your pants, Elder. Oh. And he's just like,
oh, right in the butt.
Right in the old butt cheek.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just
not
like,
in the
not in the
not in the neck.
No.
Oh yeah. Like,
no, in the like how they do it in all the Forrest Gump when they give him that
so
needle
not
right
in the
butt.
penis.
no,
Troy.
Okay.
You're like, it makes the most sense. That is actually like a good question because I think bodybuilders, like people that take steroids,
No.
they've been like, wouldn't it be more effective if I injected it straight into my testicles?
Right.
Ooh.
No. Bad idea.
Don't do
Bad.
it. Bad.
Why?
Don't do it.
Well, you'd think injecting it to the source of testosterone actually just like diminishes it. And so you'll get little raisins down there.
Ew.
And it actually won't flow through your system very well.
Right.
And it will just shut down all the hormone pathways that are just natural, which is the point we will get to.
Okay.
So they give me a 2-week supply. So it's like you come in every 2 weeks. So let me tell you, you get a 2-week supply of testosterone in the butt, you are killing it. You are on top of the world. You are unstoppable. You're just like, I am the man, and no other man compares to me. And you're about that way for the first 5 days.
Yeah.
And then the next 5 days, you're kind of feeling regular. You're coming down. By day 10, you feel like garbage. And you're just like a junkie looking for a fix. You're just like, yeah, I gotta get the stuff. I gotta get the stuff.
More of that needle, doc.
Yeah. And so it is like no way to live. I laugh about it now, but I remember like telling this story to like my sister, and I like got all teary-eyed remembering like the way it was, because it's like we laugh now. It is no way to live, because that's where you start to realize the power of testosterone.
Right.
Where it's like that is like what makes the man.
Did you feel ever like while you had all this testosterone? Did you feel unnecessarily angry or aggressive or anything like that?
See, that is actually like one of the benefits of
It's a good thing.
having like second puberty at the age of 20.
Yeah.
Is I had already learned all the habits of being like calm and passive.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you ever feel like the rage come on, you can immediately recognize it as something like exogenous.
Yeah.
Where it's like, that's something else.
Yeah.
And I didn't have like any of the habits of raging.
Yeah.
Like, what would I do? Throw something?
I don't know. Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
I'm back.
He's having.
He was raging there for a second.
Okay.
So yeah, that is
rage.
And so that's
Cough.
the point. That's when Rachel comes in. So that's like I get my injections on Thursday. On Sunday, it's just like, I'm like, whoa, where did all these young, pretty girls come from? And it's like, what is this?
This stuff's great. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, what's up, baby?
And it's like that shaver that I had been packing my whole mission.
Yeah. Ooh.
Finally had to use it for real.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's like no more shaving off the peach fuzz that comes in twice a month. Now I actually got whiskers coming. And I'd sit there and I would just like feel my face all the time. I'd be like, it's not peach fuzz. It's like actual facial hair.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started to age 20 years.
Man.
And so it's a little different. One thing you got to understand is a lot of people think like, oh, so you're just juicing. And it's like the stuff they give you, like you think like bodybuilders take steroids. You think they're on testosterone. They're not. They're taking an anabolic steroid, which is just for like muscle growth and like muscle recovery.
Yeah.
The formula I was on is more like an androgenic steroid, which is more like for developing secondary sex characteristics. So that's why like my facial hair came in. I don't think my voice got any deeper. I think it had already gotten to its pitch by puberty. I did have a little baby puberty. It was there. It happened. but not very well.
A baby puberty.
A little mini version of it. That's how I was able to...
One little hair, like, boing!
Basically. That's how I was able to, like, slip under the radar of having this problem.
Your voice dropped.
Yeah.
Did you get taller? When did you have a growth spurt?
Yeah, a little bit. I was always a tall child.
How tall? You're like 6
6 feet.
6 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, like, I was always, like, taller than everyone as a kid. Like, I was a tall kid. Mostly because I think I just had short friends, now that I think about it. But yeah.
To make yourself feel taller.
Yeah.
Max height at my school was like 4'4".
But yeah. Yeah, you know, I grew, you know, just like a lot of adolescent children do. So it's kind of like, you know, I went through puberty, and there was no red flags over it. Just that I did it like a quarter strength.
And nobody wants to talk about libido in the family between the ages of 12 to 18.
No.
Or ever at all.
Ever at all.
At any point.
Never.
Okay.
Still remains to this day.
Unspoken. Are your parents going to listen to this episode?
I don't know.
Or will you hide it from them?
Hey. It's open to the public. If they want to listen to it, they can listen to it.
Public domain.
But anyways, so we're in the mountains.
Yeah.
Getting juiced every 2 weeks.
Your companion also?
No.
Oh, we're getting
my first
juiced.
companion had such a respect for my privacy that I'm just like, yeah, I have to go to the doctor every 2 weeks for a thing.
He's like, cool.
And he would just sit in the waiting room, and he didn't care what it was about.
Read the Book of Mormon.
Yeah. But then my next companion was all like, he would like follow me in with the doctor.
Ew.
So he knew I was getting shots every 2 weeks, but I don't
That's
know.
weird.
On the butt.
Yeah. So he
was watching you get a needle in the bum.
Yeah.
The butt cheek.
I mean, I think we would exercise some. I'd probably turn around and just make direct eye contact with him. Be like, you like this?
It's like when
I told you you didn't have to come in here.
It's like when a dog poops on a walk and they just look at you while they're doing it.
Yeah.
You guys ever had dogs? No? Okay.
We shouldn't talk about Lyndon's dog experiences.
So we're not talking about that anymore.
I've had some dogs.
Past tense.
Shut that down.
Right.
Yeah.
And cut. Continue.
Right. So now that I'm on the juice,
Can I just say Emma has a very cute dog. Her name is Zora. Shout out to Zora.
Oh, she'll love this.
If she's listening.
She's 15.
She's a really old dog.
She's in her twilight years.
She's blind.
She was
mostly.
sick a couple days ago. She had to get taken to the vet. She was okay, though.
Give her some of that sweet, sweet testosterone. She'll feel much better.
She's going to feel good
not.
for the next week, and then the last sort of day 10, she's going to be feeling really bad and looking for the fix. So.
Human androgen hormones.
It will destroy her.
She becomes a human.
She has to get like 1/16 what Lyndon got, though.
That's right.
She's a tiny, tiny little tater tot.
Tiny
Back to you,
tater tot.
Lyndon.
Back to Lyndon. So your companion's in the room with you, watching your intense eye contact with your companion.
Needle up the bum.
So,
Needle up the butt.
Not in the bum. Right up the bum.
Up the bum.
Now we got the explicit tag.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I feel like it's inevitable.
It's inevitable. Especially on this topic.
Yeah.
So then, eventually, and this is where I was very fortunate, because that was like, I was becoming better, and they're like, wow, Elder Naglis is a super missionary again. Now he can finish the twilight years of his mission as a competent. So then they moved me back into the valley, and they're like, we're going to make him a district leader, take him away from his mountain vacation.
Ooh, nice.
So he stops killing geese. Yeah, I guess, now that I think about it.
Were those two things related?
There is a very high correlation. Lyndon, before he was juicing, would have turned the other cheek to a goose.
Not this Lyndon.
The new Lyndon was not taken any guff.
Suffers no geese.
Gives them no quarter.
No quarter. No mercy. Lyndon killed the goose.
I know that. I listened to the episode. I'm one of the true and faithful. Gosh.
All right.
That one we can talk about because I was in the right. And I did not do anything illegal.
Well.
You looked it up after
I looked it up after the fact.
Oh, you looked it up after the fact.
And I did not do anything illegal.
Because I thought you said on the podcast, you were like, maybe that's not allowed.
Yeah. We don't have to get into this. It was a feral domestic goose.
I'm glad I wasn't there, though, because I would have gone between you and the goose like Pocahontas between her father and John Smith.
Emma would have sacrificed her life.
I don't know. If you met that goose and it had attacked you repeatedly, you would also be convinced it was possessed by Satan.
And it had killed your father? I think
it didn't do that.
It didn't kill Lyndon's father.
In this hypothetical world where you are on my mission, it had killed your father.
I would have done the thing where I would have just grabbed its beak and just grabbed it shut and been like, "Do you know what you're doing?"
Oh, man.
You would have spoke reason to it.
And then, I would have pet it. I would have, communicated with it, and then I would have set it free.
And then the two of you would have flown away.
If only we were on like day 10 of my cycle, I probably would have been more reasonable.
Yeah. What are you, day 1, day 2?
It had to have been early on.
Just crushing turtles and
I never crushed a turtle.
Crush turtles.
I loved the turtles. There was no turtle.
They were
crushing.
sunning themselves.
He loved the turtles. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry.
Gosh.
Right.
Back to the reality.
Right. And so now that I'm back in the valley, and this is like, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is like I was thinking like it might actually be better to go off of it for the rest of my mission.
Yeah.
Than to like
just have these
live,
ups and downs.
Yeah, the wild. And it's like, I wonder if like, Emma, is that what like your menstruation cycle is like?
Oh,
wow.
Just like a wild ups and downs of hormones.
We ask the hard questions here.
I mean, have you ever
seen
the chart of women's hormones over the month?
Yeah. I have.
Yeah, estrogen, progesterone, and like the drops that they...
Luteinizing hormone.
Oh, yeah, luteinizing
it's all on
hormone,
the graph.
follicle stimulating hormone, all those things.
Right.
Oh.
I know a lot of things.
Yeah.
Troy likes that I'm knowledgeable. You know what? There are days where I am...
Hey.
Wait, what?
He said he likes that you're knowledgeable, and I said,
thanks,
hey.
Lyndon. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway. Yeah, there are
Tucked
days...
on camera, part 2.
There are days when I'm very mad and very sad, and it's just a wild ride that I can't control. So yeah, that's how it is for women, and for men, they're pretty stable most of their life.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was
Very succinct. I like that.
similar, or it like gave me a little greater appreciation for women and their hormones.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you get hot flashes?
No. That's
sorry, I didn't
not
know.
a thing.
That's when your estrogen drops. Like that's when you lose that's like menopause.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You're learning, Troy.
Don't worry, we'll teach you. I'll show you a graph.
I'm a fool.
Right.
All right.
So in order for me to finish out my mission as a successful district leader, I needed something that would level me out. And they have such a thing. It's a gel that you like put on your shoulders every morning because your shoulders are very oily. And so you need something that's like kind of fat soluble so you can absorb hormones. So it's your shoulders.
Interesting.
You could do it on your face, but that's a bad idea.
On women, it's the boobs. Just so you know.
There you go.
Interesting.
Right.
And so it was like a gel
knowledgeable.
You rub onto your shoulders every day because for men, they get their daily dose of testosterone usually in the morning. Hence your little buddy that you wake up to.
I remember when you told me this and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Right. That's one of the symptoms of low testosterone. Not waking up with a raging morning erection.
And that didn't happen to you when you were a teenager at all? Or very little?
When I was a teenager, yeah, it would happen.
Yeah.
Like in the lowest point of my mission, I was coming in at like a 2. Waking up
2 out of 10. Okay.
Waking up 2 out of 10.
Wow.
Not 2 out of 5.
No.
2 out of 10 is even worse.
2 out of 100?
Mathematically speaking, yes.
Yeah.
Some days it might have been 2 out of 100.
Whoa.
And so
2%.
So this is a public service announcement for men.
Yeah.
Check your little buddy.
If you're not
Check
waking
your
up,
little buddy.
if you're not waking up with a friend greeting you in the morning, you got to be worried.
If the bugle boy's not standing at attention at 8 bells, you got yourself a problem.
There are issues to be dealt with.
He needs to be disciplined.
Ah.
All right, everybody calm
Let's
down.
get back
Come
to your story,
on.
Lyndon.
Okay.
Back to the mission story. Jeez.
Louise.
Yeah. But this gel is super expensive.
How expensive?
I think it was coming in at $300 American. It was either like
For how much?
I think it was a month.
A sliver.
Yeah. So I think like a month of whatever it was like.
A month of cure.
A month of stability was like $350, I think. And the
Too much.
And the insurance would not pay for that. And so God bless my parents. They just like forked over that money every month.
Thank you.
So that I could be a reasonable human being.
Wow, that's lovely of them.
How nice of them. Shout out to
Eric.
And Cheryl.
Unemployed.
I
don't think he had a job at the time.
Wow.
And you're still paying him back for those treatments, are you not?
We have a payment plan, yeah.
Yeah, we got a little arrangement.
It was a very fair interest rate.
Indentured servitude in exchange for
it's the life I chose.
Life you chose. So let's get to you've come home from your mission.
Right.
Because there's more to this story.
That was just the beginning.
That's just the mission stories part. Now we're at the home stories part.
Right, because on the mission, they're like, we're going to give you the medication so that you can be functional.
Yeah.
But we have no idea why you're like this.
Yeah.
And then you get to Canada with our glorious universal health care, and the doctors are just like, I am so excited to solve this problem for you. Because we're not America, and we love our citizens.
Right.
And were you, just to check in, were you nervous about, like, serving the last 6 months of your mission with this problem that you didn't know the source of? Or were you just like, I feel better, it can't be something?
Oh, was it a constant source of anxiety,
and
not
worry?
knowing, and wondering, why did this have to happen to me?
Yeah.
Of course.
Great.
Did it affect your testimony at all?
No, because, a lot of people are like, why God? Why me?
Right.
I was never like, why me? But I was like, why this? Because I just like, there were so many things where I like tried so hard to like make captain of the football team. Mm-hmm. And I was like hitting the gym in the summers with my friends, and they were all like, their bench press numbers were like soaring because they were working out. And I was in the gym with them the exact same amount of time, and like my numbers go up like this much. So it's like,
Tot numbers.
Baby puberty.
So I was just like working so hard.
Colored dumbbell.
Yeah.
They're like, Lyndon, you get the little baby weights because you can't keep up with the rest of us men.
Yeah.
And so it made me so upset that I had like worked hard. I gave up a family vacation to go to football camp so that I could start my senior year.
Yeah.
So I could try to be captain. I remember like I had a basketball coach who told me, he's like, I want you to become like my starting point guard if you can like develop this level of athleticism. And I tried.
Yeah.
It's like sports was very important to me as an adolescent. And then I realized and then I failed in all those endeavors. I was always like good at sports, but never like, top class.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I had been cursed.
Yeah.
If only I had a sea of hormones like the rest of my peers, I would have crushed them all.
Yeah.
Cursed by the low testy god.
Yeah. So it wasn't like, why me? It's like, why this? Why can't I just have like leukemia or something?
Wow.
Some sort of like tumor.
Yeah. So I was like, that was it. And then, like not knowing, it was like, great, now I have to go home and see a Canadian doctor. And so it was interesting. See the Canadian specialist. They're like, full of things. I thought I had a genetic disorder, like a chromosomal disorder. Something like permanent. That's just like, oh yeah, you have low testosterone and you're sterile. And I'm just like, so I'm home from my mission and I'm like, I will probably never have children.
Yeah.
It's like, that is my life. I was like, I suppose I don't deserve to pass on my genetic material because it is flawed. And that's not a good way to think.
No.
It's hurtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I do finally get to see a doctor, and I'm like, oh, am I going to have to get a karyotype, kind of test to test my chromosomes? She's like, those are really expensive, so we'll do that last. And so then she's like checking off these boxes where it's like, could be this, could be this. It's like, we got to look at your luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone. We got to check all these things. And then at the very last thing she wrote in, she's like, and we'll look at your prolactin levels. And I was like, I don't know what that's about. Well, I kind of did because I was in school for medicine. And I was like, that's an odd thing. And it's a good thing she checked that off last, because then we get my test results back, and my prolactin levels were like 3 times higher than a 3rd trimester pregnant lady.
So very high.
Extremely high.
That's what you're saying.
Out of 100?
Out of 10 or 5 stars, that would be like a
Out
16.
of like, so they were like 800 times higher than like a man should have.
Right.
Ooh.
800 times.
Because it's, it's one of those things where basically, my body with that level of it gets confused about what its gender is.
Right.
From a biological constructivist way, not the social construction of gender.
Right.
To where it's like I have huge amounts of prolactin, and so my body's like, what's the deal with this?
Like, am I a woman
It's
now?
like, are we pregnant?
Yeah.
It's like, if we're pregnant, we better stop making testosterone. That would be pragmatic.
Yeah.
That's what your body decides against your will.
Yeah. So that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Your prolactins was through the roof, which signaled your testosterone to
Yeah.
stop.
So which suppresses
Producing.
testosterone production. So even though like follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone is all there saying like, yeah, you got the go ahead, make the juice. But then they're like, wait a second, why is there an ocean?
There was a reason. So why the prolactin? Why was that so high?
So then I had to go get an MRI,
Yeah.
and they're like, you have a tumor
Oh, God.
right in the middle of my head on the pituitary. So trace the middle of your eyes and then the middle of your ear, and where those 2 points meet, right in the middle of your head, I had a macroadenoma. So it was just barely big enough to be considered macro.
Okay.
And so, like, if it got any bigger, I would probably start pushing on my optic nerve, and I'd start getting like tunnel vision and stuff. But it wasn't quite at that level. So they're like, okay, well, we got to do something about this. And so they're like, it was right in the middle of my pituitary gland, so they couldn't go in and surgically remove it. Because there is actually a movie, I forget what it's called. It's about a guy who had the same problem that I did, but he had a big old huge macroadenoma on his pituitary, but on the outside.
Yeah.
And he gets it removed in a day surgery, and he like goes through full 100% puberty in a day.
Oh.
And so they actually turned it into like a comedy movie.
Oh. Wow.
Because he just like becomes like a horny teenager overnight.
Yeah.
And like completely changes, and they turn that into a movie. But I didn't have the exact same experience.
Yeah.
So they start me out on this one kind of old archaic medicine, and it was really unfortunate because I was studying for the MCAT, and this stuff it wasn't very good for me. It's like, the feeling of nausea you get, where it's like, oh, I think I'm going to throw up.
Yeah.
Take that feeling, put it inside your head.
Ooh.
And so I'm like trying to study for this MCAT, become a doctor, and it's like, it feels like my brain is going to throw up. So I'm like, I don't think I want to take this medicine anymore.
Yeah.
So then my doctor switches me on to new stuff, the fanciest, greatest medicine ever created. And it's what I take to this day.
What's it
is
called?
it?
Cabergoline.
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 Sounds like a burger.
Also goes by the brand name Dostonex. Not plugging it because it's super expensive.
Dostoevsky. No.
So Russian. And so
Dostoline.
it's actually like a Parkinson's medication.
Okay.
Yeah. A dopamine agonist. And a lot of bodybuilders actually use it as a performance-enhancing drug.
Oh.
For strange and interesting reasons we don't have to get into. But the point is, it doesn't have negative side effects. It has positive side effects. And it also then attaches to these receptors on the tumor and like shuts it down so that it's actually shrunk to macro. And when I'm on my medication...
Micro?
Micro. Thank you.
Right.
And so now that I've been on the medication for years, the tumor is small and manageable. And every now and then we test going off of my medication, and I just plummet into darkness every single time.
Oh, no.
So I'll probably just be on it forever. This extremely rare, expensive medication. So
How much is this medication?
oh, it's like $170 for 8 tablets.
How many gets you through a month?
Right now, I take just one a week.
Okay.
So that is that does me okay.
Mm-hmm.
So-
We're thinking maybe I could start doing half a tablet, maybe every other week. But
Here's the thing that we were thinking of. on this podcast. This is a somewhat public forum now.
It is.
And we've been getting, now's the time maybe to tout our own horn a little bit. I think our total listens on SoundCloud are up to like 636, something like that. So it's like, we've been doing this for what, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Not bad. Like about 100 per episode, roundabout.
Coming up on 2 months.
Yeah. And so I think enough people could hear this. Here's maybe the thing that we're asking, and we haven't like set this up yet, but if you wanted to, if you felt inclined, after having heard this story of Lyndon's predicament, if you felt like giving $1,
$1.
Or two.
Or two, or however much. But like, I think $1 is fair. I think I would give $1. That's like, that's below probably what, like, you know, because everyone has their threshold of like, I'd give 5, I'd give 10. But I think 1 is far below most people's like, I don't know, kind of threshold. If you're willing to give $1 to this fund, 100% of that would go to Lyndon's medication that he has to take to be a normal functioning member of our society.
Yes.
And I realized probably the hardest part would be like, it's like, oh, how do I do that? We're going to try to figure it out so that it's like a button click or two max. Right. Maybe PayPal. I don't know if people use that. I think they do. I think that's very easy to use. But, so I think I think we should do that. I think we should have something on the website where if you wanted to give $1 or $2 or $3, to this, come on, it's our friend Lyndon.
Come on.
I would appreciate it.
And he's born his soul
uninterrupted. My medication does not come in a steady stream.
No,
due to my
due
to my poverty.
And I've seen Lyndon sort of. We've been friends for a number of years now, and I've seen him go throughout these periods where like sometimes things are going better and sometimes. I don't know, what was the word? Brain fog?
Brain fog.
And this is something that you and I most of us just don't have to deal with. And so we have a platform here, and you have a need. And if people feel like donating something to you, I think that they should have the opportunity to do so. So.
And you were one of the first people I told, because I realized part of having brain fog is you don't know when you're having brain fog.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Troy probably sees me the most. So if I tell him about this, he often asks me, he's like, have you been taking your medication? It's like, glad you asked. No, I have not.
Yeah. And it'll be like, just some time will pass and you'll be a little worse for the wear. I feel like this is when I don't see you for a while. You sort of like retreat into your cave and don't come out too much. And it's funny, but it's also like kind of serious, you know?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like when we told Theo was there, Mike, our friend Mike was there too, and Theo's words were like so like, and that's maybe the question on people's minds is like, how much do you have? How long do you have to live?
Right. I always forget to lead with it's a non-cancerous tumor.
Non-cancerous tumor. It's not growing per se.
Well,
although it does maybe fluctuate.
It would grow without medication.
Right. Okay, so that's not good. But it's not life-threatening at this point.
Just life-altering.
Life-altering for the worse.
Yeah.
Listen, we love Lyndon.
We do.
We love you, Lyndon, and we want you to be, and I think our listeners listen probably mostly for your witty banter and your genius level IQ, and they suffer through my inane mutterings. But
let's not oversell it.
But we want you to be around and to keep, and I'm selfish, and I want you to keep doing this podcast with me. And you can't have brain fog and do this podcast.
You certainly can't.
Also,
Anyway, sorry, yes?
I was going to say half the reason that I hang around Calgary so much is just to hang around with Lyndon.
Yep.
Yep.
Let the record show.
Good.
The record show.
Good to know. And I'm fine with that. You know what? Cancel all that. No need to donate.
No.
Of course, I'm kidding. So we'll set that up, and we'll see if we can sort that out to the point where it's like, wouldn't it be cool if, you know, even if it was like, I don't know, $50 a month from like all of our people or something.
That'd be amazing.
You know, wouldn't that be neat? And then you could sort of subsidize that expense that you have in your life that just will never end.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice when you can see your money going to something like tangible in your life.
Yeah.
You know, like you can go hang out with Lyndon and be like,
Yeah.
he's looking good.
I bet if people finally start donating, I'll get a real job with health insurance.
Yeah, that's right. You'll have more medication. Your testosterone will be through the roof. You'll be crushing job interviews left and right. And a job.
And then we can direct the donations to something even more worthwhile.
Yeah. That would be cool.
That's like the ideal situation.
That would be really cool. And then I don't know. We can be like a socially, you know,
Conscious
podcast. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, moral anchor.
That's me.
So anyway, I think that my battery is slowly dying on my computer. We've had a great mission story. I hope there's been some laughs, right? There's been some fun times.
Yeah.
There's been laughs.
There's been laughs, yeah.
There's also been tears.
Some tears. Did you shed a tear or two?
I didn't shed a tear, but I got kind of like verklempt a little bit.
I stare at Emma while I do this podcast. And she looked real sad at one point. I was like, I got to turn it around.
I have a lot of empathy. I get real sad.
Yeah, Emma's a very empathetic person. So anyway, I don't know it's kind of an unusual episode, so I don't know quite how to end it other than...
Thanks for having me on the pod.
Thank you so much for being here, Emma.
I was more of just like an active listener to Lyndon's tale.
Yeah.
But I hope that I added a little bit of pizzazz, you know, a little bit of chutzpah to the podcast.
I feel really, really cool right now having you sit beside me, like with my arm around you. I feel super cool.
Wow.
And it's just nice to have you here as a listener and as a contributor.
And like my emotional support person.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know if I had to tell this story
just to me
with just Troy.
Well, and Troy's heard it before, so it was nice for me to be here so that you
Yeah.
can like give it to a new audience. And I just was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I gave the little reaction.
Your audience
sounds.
surrogate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that might be kind of cool to have an audience surrogate every once in a while.
Yeah, I think it would be. So thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Catch you on the flip side.
Lyndon.
We got to do all our plugs.
We got to plug some stuff.
Every single item.
I'm going to plug a few things. I'm in a band called The Understudies.
3 weeks in a row?
That's what you lead with?
Oh, boy. Here's what I want people to do. I want you to go to wearetheunderstudies.com and just listen to the songs. That's all I want you to do. And there's some funky, fresh, cool songs you can listen to. I think we're going to put them on Instagram, YouTube. Check them out, The Understudies. What else do we plug in?
We got to remember, you got to remember, we got the Instagram.
We got the Instagram.
We got
the Mission Stories
website.
Podcast, themissionstoriespodcast.com.
I don't think we've really had, on Apple Podcast. We keep telling people about the 5-star review and the roast.
Yeah.
And when we go through, all of our 5-star reviews are just people saying
They're
nice
so
things.
kind, yeah.
And we're like, we can't read these. We'll look like egomaniacs.
Egomaniacs.
Which you're not.
We're not.
Right.
So, yeah, go to the website. Give us someone, please. Give us 5 stars and roast us. We would just want to try it out. But be gentle. Please be gentle.
Yeah, like
or shallow.
make fun of my manliness or something.
Make fun of
That
Lyndon's
guy's
tumor.
got so much testosterone. You
Yeah.
can't understand him when he's talking.
He's like Andre the Giant.
He's unintelligible.
Anybody want to beat it? Yeah, go to the website. We have a YouTube thing. We're going to see... this is taped. We've been taping this. And so you can watch this as well as listen to it if you like. The YouTube is the Mission Stories or Mission Stories podcast, something like that. I don't know exactly. We'll have links.
The link's on the website, right?
We'll have some links. Yeah, we'll put some
Or on
links
the
up there. The Facebook. Yeah, we'll link it all up. What else?
I suppose we should start plugging Mission Stories 4.
Yeah, we got a script going. We're gonna film a script pretty soon for the Calgary YSA Film Fest. We're still here.
Are we?
We're still doing it.
Is this where we finally get the hard commit from Emma? Professional actress, will you be in it?
I mean, I like to see the script beforehand to just make sure I know what's coming up my alley. But
Right,
you know what? If I'm in town, then yes, Lyndon and Troy.
Emma's a very busy actress. So we shall see.
Our people will get in touch with your people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've traditionally had a very hard time getting women to agree to be on our sketches.
I'll do it.
And so I've sort of gone the route of like, you know what, we need to like...
We're going like Shakespearean.
Yeah.
We're going to have men play the role of women.
Like just write women out of it so that... honestly, here's the thing. No girls want to be in these things.
But I'm not kidding when I say
except for-
do want to be in them. So you no longer have to write women out of your
I'm just
Mission Stories.
explaining
Just
why.
for the listeners and not the viewers, what you missed was Emma shooting Troy a very dirty look at the thought of excluding women, and Troy immediately going
backpedaling, explanation mode. Oh, boy.
Whereas our only desire is to cast women in our sketches.
We've had
Demand
some great
is high,
women.
supply is low.
I don't want to shortchange the women that we have had on the sketches. Erica Baines, Rochelle, McCoubry, Angelina Winkler have all been on the sketches. Yeah, they have. We've had women on.
You've had ladies
was the
in your
third
sketches.
one?
Had no women. I don't.
No
think.
women.
Oh, Kenzie Gibb, Theo's wife. We've had her on.
Oh, yeah.
This is name drop city right now, and I'm loving it.
Well, they can see their names in the credits when every listener watches the sketches.
That's right.
And I would encourage all the listeners to watch those videos because I watched them before me and Troy were even really friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had we met before you had started watching those?
We had met because I think you mentioned... No, I don't know. I think I creeped you. I think I heard you were going to be involved in this thing that we filmed called The Cyborgs.
The Cyborgs, that's another plug we can put out
plug
there.
that. It's a Story Hive funded web series. It's going to be on Telus Optic coming in the summer. But then I creeped you on Facebook, found Mission Stories on your Facebook page, went to YouTube, and then just watched them for quite a long time. And then pretended I knew nothing about them when I was talking to you in real life.
And the rest is history, and we're so in love and so great together. We'll go ahead and bleep all that out. It'll just be a big beep.
Point is,
we will not get that explicit tag. Anyway,
we're trying to cast women again for Mission Stories 4.
I don't know that we are.
This is like
You're
like,
speaking
like,
so
have
out
you
of turn.
Have you read the script? I have not.
Yeah.
I saw that the script was emailed to me.
Oh my gosh, you haven't even read it?
No.
Read it?
Read it.
Well, here's the thing, because I remember now we're on to a whole new thing. I remember getting emailed the original script to Mission Stories 3.
Yeah.
And we did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get too attached to this script because I was like, we're just going to have to rewrite it anyway.
We should release the original script. Not that anyone cares at all, but it is a crazy script.
But if you guys get famous one day, someone will care.
That's true.
So put it all out there.
We'll put it all out there. And we have a little platform to do it now on the website.
Yeah, you do.
So it's all good.
Great.
So never mind. We're not trying to cast women.
Well, we're trying
Except for me.
We should put Emma in there. We should put Emma in there for sure.
That'll be really good.
We need someone to play my girlfriend.
Okay.
I will do
pal.
it, and I will do it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Do we get to make out?
Very good, and that's Mission Stories.
Written by Emma and Lyndon. Directed by Troy.
Called Cucked on Camera, Part 4. Oh. Guys, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Thanks so much to Emma for being here. Thank you, Lyndon, for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Your mission story. Any last words?
Patiently listening to it.
Any last words, Lyndon?
Always just stay true and faithful.
Always true and faithful. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.